Have you ever wondered why manifesting sometimes feels like pushing against an invisible wall? You try so hard. You visualize, you affirm, you set intentions. But the results either take forever or never come at all. It's frustrating, isn't it? And yet, the problem isn't that you're undisciplined or that you're not clear enough about what you want. The truth runs much deeper. The way most people are taught to manifest relies on force. Forcing thoughts to stay positive. Forcing the body to remain motivated. Forcing reality to obey a deadline. But here's the paradox. Real transformation, in both quantum physics and consciousness, rarely emerges from force. In fact, force often creates resistance. Imagine striking a chord on a guitar while another hand mutes the strings. The sound becomes distorted, scattered, unable to resonate fully. This is what happens within us when our desires collide with our doubts. Scientists might call it frequency interference, a clash of signals. When you want something but fear it won't arrive, you send out two broadcasts at once, one of desire and one of anxiety. The quantum field doesn't pick the stronger one. It responds to the sum of your energy. And so, the more you push, the more noise you introduce, and the weaker your signal becomes. This is where the true art of manifestation begins. Not in straining harder, but in aligning your inner state. I call this the quantum frequency shift. It's not about rituals or endless effort. It's about creating inner coherence. When your mind, heart, and nervous system harmonize, something powerful happens. The scattered energy that once leaked through tension gathers into clarity. Your body relaxes. Your awareness widens. Your field begins to vibrate in unison. And here's the paradoxical gift. The very moment you stop fighting reality, reality begins to flow with you. The universe mirrors your coherence back to you. Not because you forced it, but because you finally tuned yourself to the frequency of what you were seeking all along. If this still feels a little abstract, let's ground it in science. Every thought you think is not just in your head. It produces a measurable electromagnetic signal. Every emotion you feel shapes the rhythm of your heart and the activity of your brain. When you're anxious or stressed, your system falls out of harmony. Your heart rate stumbles into jagged patterns, your breathing turns shallow, and your brain waves break into chaotic rhythms. Scientists call this incoherence, but you can think of it like static on an old radio. The music is still being broadcast, but no matter how beautiful the melody is, all you hear is noise because the signal is clouded. This is why so many people spend years repeating affirmations, chanting mantras, or visualizing a better future without real transformation. On the surface, they're saying, "I am abundant." But beneath the words, their body is still locked in survival mode. The mind projects desire, but the nervous system whispers resistance. And the quantum field doesn't just respond to the words, it responds to the frequency underneath them. If the vibration of lack is louder than the statement of abundance, then lack is what gets amplified. This is where the quantum frequency shift comes in. It's not another method to add to your to-do list, and it's not about trying harder. It's a state you allow to emerge when you create the right conditions for coherence. Think of it like planting a seed. You don't force it to grow by tugging at the soil. You simply provide sunlight, water, and space. In the same way, you invite coherence by slowing your breath, softening urgency, and choosing an intention that comes from curiosity rather than desperation. And here's the key insight. The frequency that shapes your reality is not the one you occasionally touch when you feel inspired after a video or a seminar. It's the one you consistently return to, the emotional home base you live in when no one is watching. That frequency is not a verdict on your worth. It's simply the sum of your thoughts, emotions, and biology in motion. When you begin to experience coherence, when breath, heart, and mind fall into rhythm, you can feel the difference immediately. Your body softens, your chest feels lighter, your awareness expands. There's a quiet knowing that you don't need to chase, prove, or force anything. And paradoxically, it's in that state of non-attachment where life itself seems to rearrange. The very outcomes you once tried to grab begin to flow toward you, not because you wrestled them into being, but because your frequency finally gave them permission to arrive. In this next chapter of our journey, we'll step deeper into the science behind coherence and why it's not just philosophy, but measurable reality. You'll see how researchers track it, why it's essential for transforming your energy, and how it echoes truths that ancient wisdom has whispered for centuries: surrender, presence, and trust. Because here's the revelation. What you've been trying so hard to force into existence is not hiding from you. It's already here, quietly waiting for you to tune your inner dial to its frequency. If you've ever wondered, is this just spiritual language, or does science actually prove it? You're not alone. Doubt is natural when something sounds intangible. But the beauty of this work is how science and spirituality now meet at the same crossroad. Quantum physics, neuroscience, and timeless traditions all point to the same principle. Your internal state isn't just a mood, it's a broadcast. And that broadcast organizes how reality unfolds, moment by moment. Let's begin with the heart. In the field of neurocardiology, scientists discovered something remarkable. Your heart is not just a pump. It produces the most powerful electromagnetic field in your entire body, much stronger than your brain's. This field radiates several feet around you and can be measured with modern instruments like magnetocardiograms. When you're anxious, angry, or living in constant survival mode, this rhythm becomes jagged, chaotic, and erratic. Researchers call this incoherence, not a flaw in who you are, but simply the signature of a nervous system stuck in defense. But there's a deeper problem. When your heart rhythm falls into disarray, your brain follows. Brain waves lose their harmony. Your breath becomes shallow. Your immune system strains, and your perception collapses into tunnel vision, always searching for threats. This response once kept our ancestors safe in the wilderness, but in today's world, it has become a chronic baseline, a state of stress that unknowingly broadcasts into the quantum field as your default frequency. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine slowing your breath, softening your body, and resting your awareness on feelings of gratitude, compassion, or calm. Suddenly, your heart rhythm smooths into a gentle, wave-like pattern. Your brain waves begin to mirror this rhythm. Stress chemicals like cortisol fade, while regenerative hormones rise. Your immune system strengthens, your focus widens, and your body feels lighter. Scientists call this state heart-brain coherence, and its effects are not theory, they're data. From a quantum lens, coherence is like creating a pure, steady tone in the symphony of your energy field. Think of tuning forks. When one vibrates steadily, another nearby fork begins to resonate in harmony. This is called entrainment. Your coherent field does the same. It entrains your environment, influencing probabilities, people, and opportunities to fall into alignment with your signal. This explains why, in elevated states, synchronicities bloom. Solutions appear unforced. Life begins to feel as though it's moving with you, not against you. And what's fascinating is that this mirrors what the ancients always taught. Yogis described samadhi, a state of union and stillness. Mystics called it surrender, the art of allowing a higher intelligence to guide the flow. Taoist sages named it Wu Wei, effortless action. Different languages, same truth. When resistance fades, reality reorganizes itself. But let's be clear. Coherence doesn't mean you'll never feel doubt, fear, or stress again. It means you don't collapse into those states. You learn to notice them without becoming them. You return to calm more quickly, because your nervous system recognizes peace as home. And this is why the quantum frequency shift isn't about pretending to be happy all the time. It's not about force or false positivity. It's about cultivating the simple conditions: slower breath, open awareness, authentic intention, that allow coherence to rise naturally. And when it does, life itself begins to meet you there. Once you begin to taste coherence for yourself, something profound becomes clear. Effort is often a sign of misalignment. The more you push and strain, the louder you announce to the universe, "I am separate from what I desire." But the moment you soften, when you stop chasing and begin attuning, life itself starts reflecting your inner harmony without resistance. This is why so many seekers burn out on the path of personal growth. They consume book after book, technique after technique, performance after performance, all in an attempt to fix the noise within. Yet the quantum field doesn't respond to how much you know or how loudly you declare your affirmations. It responds to the clarity of your signal. So how do you create that clarity? By learning to notice incoherence without judgment and gently guiding yourself back into alignment again and again. By letting go of urgency. By remembering that reality is not a cold machine, it's participatory. It mirrors the frequency you broadcast. And here's the paradox. The shift you've been waiting to see outside doesn't require proof before you trust it. It requires trust first, and proof follows. In the next part of this journey, I'm going to guide you through a practice I call the quantum frequency shift technique. It's deceptively simple, a blend of breath, gentle focus, and a single question that dissolves resistance. When approached sincerely, this practice can create an immediate shift. Sometimes within minutes, you'll feel your energy reorganize into a more open, spacious, and resonant state. This is where theory ends and embodiment begins. This is where you stop trying to control reality and start tuning yourself to it. Before we step into the technique itself, there's something important to remember. This practice is not about being flawless. You don't have to purge every doubt or silence every negative thought. You don't need to maintain constant bliss. What you need is much simpler. The willingness to meet the practice with curiosity instead of expectation. When you bring that quality of openness, the technique becomes a doorway you can return to anytime. Each time you step through, it becomes easier to find coherence again. So let's begin. Find a quiet space where you can sit comfortably for a few minutes. No special rituals are required, though if you enjoy lighting a candle or playing soft ambient sounds, allow yourself that. What matters most is that you feel safe enough to turn your awareness inward. Close your eyes gently. Inhale slowly through your nose, filling your belly as if it were a vessel of light. Exhale softly through your mouth, releasing the weight of the day as your shoulders sink. Repeat this rhythm 3 or 4 times, letting each breath carry you deeper into stillness. Allow the pace of your breathing to guide your body into ease. as if the universe itself were breathing through you. The first step of this practice is what I call physiological priming. When you deliberately slow your breath, you're sending a signal to your nervous system. I am safe. And with that one message, something profound begins. The jagged rhythms of stress start softening, and if you could see your electromagnetic field in that moment, you'd notice the chaotic waves smoothing into harmony. Now bring your awareness to your heart. If it helps, place a hand gently over your chest, almost like knocking on the door of your own spirit. With every inhale, imagine you're drawing in a subtle light, filling your heart space. With every exhale, see that light spreading through your body, radiating outward, creating a gentle field around you. Here's where the real shift begins. Allow a feeling of appreciation to arise. It doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't need fireworks of emotion. It can be as simple as gratitude for the breath moving through you, for the quiet space you've carved out, or for the chance to simply be. What matters is authenticity. Even a small spark of genuine gratitude carries a frequency powerful enough to transform your signal. Stay with this for a minute or two. Let it build naturally, without force. If your mind drifts, notice it kindly and return to your breath, return to your heart. Soon, you may sense subtle changes, a soft warmth, an inner expansion, or just a quiet stillness that wasn't there before. This is the doorway to coherence. When you feel settled, gently introduce a question, one that bypasses resistance. What would it feel like if this was already resolved? Don't chase an answer with your mind. Instead, let your body respond. Maybe your chest feels lighter. Maybe your jaw relaxes. Maybe your awareness opens as if a window has been unlatched. These are not small things. They're signs that your nervous system is stepping out of survival and into trust. This step is so powerful because it bypasses the logical mind. Your intellect wants to plan, predict, and control, but the quantum field doesn't respond to plans. It responds to vibration. By asking, "What would it feel like?" you begin speaking the only language the field truly understands: frequency. Think of it as tuning an instrument. You don't force the strings into harmony. You gently adjust until resonance occurs. Sometimes it clicks quickly. Sometimes it takes a little longer. Either way, your role is simple. Stay curious, stay open, and allow the process to unfold. This technique can be practiced at any moment. In the morning, to set the tone for your day. When stress creeps in, to reset your frequency. Before making a big decision, to ensure your action comes from alignment instead of fear. Many expect fireworks the first time they try. And yes, sometimes there are powerful shifts, a sudden wave of clarity, a release of tears, or an insight that feels undeniable. But more often, the shift is subtle. A loosening in your body, a sense of receptivity, a calm awareness that nothing outside you had to change for you to feel at peace. That's coherence. And from this place, you don't need to push as hard. You become more effective not because you're doing more, but because your energy is no longer divided. Your intention is steady. Your system is calm. Your field is clear. Let me share a story. A client of mine, a creative professional, spent months chasing opportunities. She wrote proposals, networked, visualized, affirmed. On the surface, it looked like she was doing everything right. But underneath, fear ran the show. What if this never happens? What if I'm not good enough? Her signal was split between desire and doubt. And the result? Nothing moved. When she began practicing the quantum frequency shift, she stopped rehearsing outcomes and started embodying trust. She let her body remember what it felt like to already be supported. Within days, things shifted. A collaboration she thought had fallen apart reignited. Unexpected introductions appeared. A project she'd nearly abandoned resurfaced. The practice didn't magically hand her success. What it did was reorganize her field. Her coherent state made her more open, more relaxed, more able to recognize the doors that were already there, waiting for her to walk through. And this is what you are capable of, too. You don't have to wrestle your life into compliance. You don't have to force outcomes. You can attune. You can harmonize. You can shift into the frequency where the life you've been reaching for is already unfolding. In the next stage of this journey, we'll explore what unfolds when you don't just practice coherence occasionally, but begin to live from it consistently, how your outer life starts to reorganize itself in response, and the subtle signs that your frequency is becoming steady. Stay close, because this shift is not far from you. It may already be happening beneath the surface. When you practice the quantum frequency shift regularly, something remarkable happens. Life itself doesn't suddenly erase every obstacle or remove every challenge. But your relationship with those challenges changes so profoundly that the very same situations feel lighter, more workable, even infused with possibility. This is one of the first indicators that your frequency is stabilizing. Peace no longer feels conditional. You stop waiting for external validation or visible proof before you can relax. Instead, you discover a quiet certainty inside you, a knowing that your alignment is the evidence. The coherence within you becomes the confirmation you once sought outside. Another powerful sign is the dissolution of urgency. That constant hum of pressure, I must figure this out right now, begins to fade. In its place comes space. You find yourself responding instead of reacting, choosing instead of grasping. Decisions rise from clarity rather than fear, and while old patterns may occasionally return, you notice you can return to balance more quickly, because coherence has become your baseline. This doesn't mean indifference. You still care about your goals, your relationships, your growth. But you stop believing that you must control every outcome to feel safe. And here lies the paradox. As the compulsion to force dissolves, external life often begins to move with greater ease. Projects that once felt blocked begin to shift. Conversations unfold more smoothly. Resources and connections appear without the strain you once carried. This isn't magic. It's resonance. The quantum field is participatory. It mirrors the clarity you embody. The steadier your signal, the more naturally probabilities collapse into form around it. And the quality of what emerges, whether opportunities, synchronicities, or solutions, is shaped not by how hard you try, but by the coherence and consistency of the vibration you live from. Let's explore how coherence begins to show itself in everyday life. First, synchronicities increase. You think of someone you haven't spoken to in months, and suddenly they reach out. You feel an inner nudge to explore a new place or pick up a book, only to find it holds the exact piece you were searching for. These aren't accidents. They are evidence that your field is now flowing in harmony with the larger web of possibility. Second, relationships recalibrate. Those who resonate with your old frequency may naturally drift away. At the same time, new connections appear. People who feel strangely familiar, aligned, easy to be around. Collaborations that once felt far-fetched suddenly open, not because you forced them, but because your vibration now matches the opportunities. Third, your body changes. Many people notice subtle but profound shifts. Deeper sleep, steadier energy, and a softer baseline in the nervous system. Your breath becomes fuller without effort. Your body drops tension on its own. It's as if coherence doesn't just change your mind, it rewires your physiology. Fourth, reactivity fades. Life still brings challenges, but they no longer land as heavy blows. Instead of collapsing into fear, you find yourself observing, responding with perspective. You stay steady even as circumstances rise and fall. This steadiness is one of the clearest signs that coherence is becoming your home frequency. Fifth, trust emerges. Perhaps the most transformative effect of all is a quiet knowing that you don't need to prove yourself to anyone, not even to yourself. Worth stops being measured in achievements. Peace stops depending on outcomes. From this embodied trust, your actions carry purpose without desperation. And that kind of trust is magnetic. When these signs appear, people often wonder, how do I know it's real? The answer is simple. If your perception is shifting, if your body is softening, if your reactions are different in ways you could never force before, then you are not imagining progress. You are experiencing it. This is why the quantum frequency shift is not a quick fix. It's not a trick you try once and discard. It's a practice, a relationship with yourself and the field that strengthens every time you return to it. Like building a muscle, every repetition, every moment you choose coherence over chaos reinforces your baseline frequency. And yes, you will oscillate. Old habits will resurface. Doubt will return. Some days you'll slip. That's not failure, it's integration. Each time you notice and gently realign, you grow stronger. Each return is another rep in the training of your nervous system. So, before we continue, I want to invite you to acknowledge your own shift. Because naming your growth amplifies it. If you feel even a subtle resonance right now, as if something inside, you are reorganizing, anchor it. In the comments, simply write, I am shifting. These 3 words are more than a phrase. They are a declaration, a signal to your nervous system, your subconscious mind, and the quantum field that you are stepping into a new way of being. Not tomorrow. Now stay close, because in the next part, we're going to uncover the most common mistakes people make when practicing this shift, and more importantly, how to avoid falling back into the old cycle of force and frustration. You'll see that sustaining coherence doesn't require you to be flawless. It simply asks for your willingness to return, again and again, to presence until coherence becomes your natural resting place. The truth is, you're already closer to this transformation than you realize. If you've been exploring the quantum frequency shift or any path of vibrational alignment, you've probably noticed how quickly the mind tries to turn it into another performance. Another way to measure yourself. Another way to judge whether you're doing it right. And that's almost inevitable at first, because we've been conditioned to believe results only come through effort and control. But here's one of the great paradoxes of this path. The more you chase coherence, the more you signal to the field that you don't have it. The more you try to force peace, the more you reinforce separation. This is why so many sincere seekers get trapped in cycles of frustration. They taste a genuine moment of calm, and then almost instantly, the mind interrupts. Is this working? Why don't I feel it more strongly? Why hasn't everything changed yet? These questions are understandable, but they come from the part of you that measures progress only by speed and external proof. The quantum field doesn't respond to impatience or self-criticism. It responds to the clarity of your signal and the steadiness of your return. So, let's look at the 5 most common pitfalls and how to meet them with awareness. 1. Forcing emotions you don't feel. Many people think they need to manufacture bliss or joy to raise their vibration, but forced feelings create inner conflict. If you're sad and try to paste gratitude on top of it, you only add resistance. Instead, start small. Appreciate the breath you just took. Appreciate the quiet moment you've created for yourself. Authenticity, no matter how subtle, carries infinitely more power than pretending. 2. Treating the practice as a way to control outcomes. Of course, you want your life to improve, and over time it will. But if your main motive is to make the field deliver something on your timeline, you've slipped back into force. The real gift of this work is coherence itself. Calm, clarity, connection. From that state, outcomes begin to unfold naturally, often in ways you never could have scripted. 3. Becoming hypervigilant about every thought. Once you understand that your energy shapes reality, it's tempting to police your mind obsessively. You notice a negative thought and panic, convinced you've ruined your frequency. But that anxiety itself creates more incoherence. Thoughts will arise. Doubts will visit. None of it matters if you don't attach to them. The field responds not to every passing flicker of thought, but to your dominant emotional tone over time. 4. Expecting instant miracles. Some shifts can feel immediate, like a sudden release, a wave of clarity. But more often, transformation unfolds gradually. Your perception changes little by little. Your sleep deepens. Your nervous system softens. You find yourself less reactive. These subtle markers are not insignificant. They are the foundation upon which bigger external shifts are built. 5. Abandoning the practice when life feels turbulent. Ironically, the moments when you feel most contracted are the moments this practice can serve you most powerfully. But many people assume that if calm doesn't come easily, the method must not be working, so they stop. The truth is, this is when the practice matters most. When storms rise, return to the basics. Slow your breath, soften your awareness. Remind yourself that your worth is not measured by your emotional state. Over time, you'll find that you can stay coherent even in the midst of turbulence. And that is really power. When you understand these patterns, something shifts inside you. You stop treating them as failures and begin to recognize them as part of the path moments that strengthen your ability to return. True mastery is not an endless state of bliss. It is the quiet willingness to realign again and again each time you drift. One way to make this gentler is to redefine what success means. Instead of asking, "Did I manifest what I wanted today?" Try asking, "Did I notice when I slipped into force? Did I soften my grip even for a moment? Did I return to coherence more often than yesterday?" These questions measure the only thing you can truly control, your inner state. And when coherence becomes your priority, the outer shifts arrive naturally, not because you wrestled them into place, but because your signal stopped scattering. So let's bring everything together with a short practice you can experience right now. Because no theory, no amount of explanation can replace the felt sense of coherence in your own body. Find a quiet spot where you can sit comfortably. You don't need a perfect mindset. You don't need to clear your thoughts. All that's required is your willingness to be here exactly as you are. Close your eyes, or simply soften your gaze. Rest your hands gently in your lap, or over your heart if that feels natural. Take a slow inhale through your nose, letting your belly expand. Hold it softly, then exhale through your mouth, releasing the weight of the day. Do this 2 more times, each time letting your breath slow, each time letting the exhale carry you deeper into calm. Now, bring your awareness to the center of your chest. Imagine this space as a soft, luminous presence, a quiet glow that has always been here beneath your thoughts. As you breathe, invite a simple appreciation into your awareness. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It could be gratitude for the breath itself, for the steadiness of the ground beneath you, or simply for this moment of pause. Notice what happens in your body when you hold that appreciation. Maybe your shoulders sink. Maybe your jaw softens. Maybe there's a warmth in your chest. Whatever you notice, let it be enough. This is coherence beginning to emerge. Now, ask one gentle question, silently in your heart. What would it feel like if I stopped forcing? Don't search for words. Let your body answer. Perhaps it shows up as a sigh of relief, a softening, or a quiet spaciousness. That sensation, that frequency, is coherence. Stay with it for a few breaths. If your mind wanders, simply return to the breath. Return to the heart. Return to that subtle ease. When you're ready, take one last inhale, feeling the stability of this state. As you exhale, open your eyes gently, carrying this coherence with you. If you felt something shift, even subtly, know this. This is where true transformation begins. Not in sudden fireworks or dramatic breakthroughs, but in simple, repeated moments when you choose to return to alignment. This is a practice you can bring into everything. Before a conversation, at the start of your day, whenever the urge to control takes hold. Pause. Breathe. Remember. Coherence is always available. And if you found resonance here, if you feel clearer, calmer, more trusting, I invite you to stay connected. Subscribing to this channel isn't about stockpiling techniques or chasing the next idea. It's about joining a community of people choosing to live from coherence together. A space where science meets spirit, where curiosity leads to clarity, and where your evolution is nurtured, one breath at a time. So if this speaks to you, subscribe now. Each time you return here, whether to learn something new or simply to remember what you already know, you strengthen this signal inside yourself. Thank you for your quiet courage, for daring to let go of force and trust the intelligence of your own field. Stay coherent, stay compassionate, and never forget, the universe responds to who you are, not what you struggle to prove.